Alright, is the mic on? Alright, mic's on. Alright, ready? Hey, good morning YouTube! Today is Thursday, March 7th. I'm JB and welcome to another edition of What's On Today with Discovery Bay. Okay, first up is a quick recap of yesterday's highlights. There are links to these channels in the description below. First up, TheGO2 Geeks released a video titled $1 Comics. Go2 Geeks, episode 113. In this episode, Chuck and Lawrence share their $1 bin comic haul. No keys, but still some great books, man. Awesome covers and memories for sure. If you're not familiar with the Go2 Geeks, go check them out. Alright, next up on the recap comes from Dave over at Mr. Miracle. He released another great video titled Hot Character Adam Warlock Key Comic Books. Now, I 100% agree with Metarog's comment on this video that stated, "Fabulous episode, Dave. Great job explaining this very convoluted character's appearances." And, like I guessed yesterday, Dave basically had every book. Adam Warlock is eventually going to show up in the MCU, and this video is a must-watch if you want the actual facts of origin. Great job, man. Okay, before we get to the last item on the recap, I wanted to highlight last night's live shows and the diversity of free interactive content available to our comic community daily. From comic book auctions, to panel interviews, to structured agendas, to very unstructured agendas. I applaud all of these content creators. Great job last night. Okay, if I had to pick one, for me personally, I had an absolute blast in the Comic Head 84 live stream. But if you're looking for the best watch on Rewind, I'm gonna go with Comic Core Unlimited on the Comic Core channel. I guess, sorry, I was blew it away. Oh, I guess I blew the scheduling and scheduled them incorrectly, and they rolled with it and they crushed it. So, John from John's Comics with Kids, Israel of Comic Spectre, Jason of Comics Misexplained, and JD stayed on topic and gave out a ton of amazing information. This episode focused mostly on the reading list segment, but the convention's do's and don'ts was awesome. And don't sleep on that market watch in the community shout-out segment. Right there, I'm telling you. This show is only a couple of episodes in. It's already a must-watch. I mostly caught it on the Rewind, and that worked. Okay, now let's get to the lineup. All of these items are going to be in both Pacific Standard Time and Eastern Standard Time, and there are links and timestamps in the description below. First up on the lineup, it starts at 1 a.m. Pacific, 4 a.m. Eastern. Head over to Joe Ryan Comics channel for a video titled Image Comics Previews May 2019, The Walking Dead, Deadly Class, Farmhand, and more. Joe shows us what Image Comics to buy months ahead. If you're not familiar with the previews, he did 2 videos yesterday, he's got 2 more today. If you watch all 4 of these, you're going to know what's coming out, 2 months from now. Okay, so then a couple hours later, around 3 a.m., 6 a.m. Eastern, we get the Indie Comics preview, May 2019, Stranger Things, Ray, East of West, and more. Cool. Okay. At 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern. Billy at Economics and Comics dropped this Captain Marvel plot revealed warning spoiler movie review yesterday. And personally, I have not watched it, but 16,000 other peeps have. And as far as I'm concerned, a member of our community has like a video that's going viral, and that's kind of cool, right? Man, that's awesome. Okay, so this time slot is actually for Billy's release of comic book pressing. And we get another before and after of a comic book that's going through Billy's pressing process. Okay. Next up at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern, over at the Metarog channel, we get the weekly comic contest roundup. And if you want to know what's going on in the YouTube comic community contest world, then you need to make sure you watch this. I'm telling you, I can't keep up. There's no way. I can't keep up. So I lost my spot here. There are so many cool and creative contests out there, and a majority of them are right here in one spot, and you can make sure you add this to your watch list. Woo! Okay, next up at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, on the Stacey's Weekly Comic Book Picks channel. Changed the name, but it still works. We should be seeing the next video in his weekly series titled Stacey's Weekly Comic Book Picks. Alright, at 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern over at NCE channel, which stands for Marvelous Collectibles and Entertainment, we get a video titled Comic Chat with Chad 3719. In this episode, the connoisseur of comics himself, Chad of 90 Miles of Comics, goes over the latest comics that came out yesterday and shows off his pickups for the week. Yo, bro! You know what that means. Alright, at 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern.
Whosoever watches this channel, if he or she be worthy, shall acquire the knowledge from the Comic Chief.
That's right, another day, another video from the Comic Chief. This time we get the real new comic book day pickup video that we thought we were going to get yesterday, but we're definitely getting it today. Okay, at 4:30 p.m. Pacific, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, over at Midwest Comics channel, we should be getting the next installment in a video series titled Comic Creator Spotlight. This is episode number 10 on Nick Cardy. And in this episode, Paul spotlights Nick Cardy, who until recently was an underappreciated master. Check him out. At 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, we have a video from Simon Comics, who brings us another edition of Throwback Thursdays. In this series, Simon showcases mostly gold and silver and Bronze Age books. Alright. At 5:30 p.m. Pacific, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, over at JLS Comics, we should be getting the next installment in their weekly live stream titled Comiconversation. Pop in the chat, give them a hello, introduce yourself. What's gonna happen? Maybe you meet a new friend. Alright, next up at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Join Jack, aka Mr. Bolo, and Brian over at Simple Man's Comics each Thursday night as they discuss the week's hottest comic book releases and recap the comicbookinvest.com Bolo, be on the lookout, list for new comic books that released yesterday. This list is broken down into 4 parts. Confirmed first appearances, reader buzz, variant buzz, and of course, you can't forget, aka Mr. Bolo's long-term play. Now, you don't want to miss this one. Jack and Brian are dropping great knowledge in this live stream, comic fam. Check it out. Alright, next up at 6:30 p.m. Pacific, 9:30 p.m. Eastern, over at Comic Book Wars channel, we get another live show. This one is titled Comic Book Wars episode number 16, Comic, Magic, Sports Cards and More Speculation Podcast. Okay, at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern, over at All About Comics, we have another live show. This one is titled Comics and Cold Ones, episode number 39. Join JP, Pope and the gang as they discuss the latest and greatest in comic news. Woo! Alright, and the final item on the lineup for today, and the last live show that I saw scheduled, is over at Tony Sanders' channel and starts at 7:30 p.m. Pacific, 10:30 p.m. Eastern. Tony gives us the next installment in a terrific series titled What's Your Grail? In tonight's show, he doesn't have just one guest, he has 2 guests. So, we get both Jeffrey Comic-Con Henson and John from John's Comics and Kids, John's Comics with Kids. Let's join him in the chat. You know it's going to be a blast. And that is it for today. Excellent. So, thanks for joining me. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to watch me and my content. If you're not a subscriber, please do subscribe. Hit the like bell if you are. Like, comment, share. Let's try and share it. I don't think I have anything else. This is going to go on Instagram somewhere around 3 o'clock in the afternoon with an update. If there's any new shows added or I've barfed and made a mistake on any of these, I'll fix it and put a little comment. If anybody has any suggestions for me, man, I'm open to it. I'm trying to do some things, I'm changing colors and doing some stuff. Let me know. And don't forget, we had a good time.